Hello and welcome back to the NMMA. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who tuned in to the playoff stream 2 nights ago. We really appreciate you bearing through the technical difficulties that we faced, and hopefully those will be fixed moving forward. Congratulations to Justin and the Seattle Supersonics for taking home the first ever Mickey Mouse ring of this league. They put up a great fight, and that defense ended up paying off. Congratulations to the Games for making the finals. That was an excellent run. Dirk almost repeated and got the 2011 ring in this league as well. And congratulations to Dr. Tequila for winning GM of the Year, and to Cookie for the Atlanta Hawks winning the draft lottery, whose results we will see in just a moment. Just a couple of notes before we get started. I want to ensure that everybody is tracking your bird rights as well as your RFA rights manually, so that if anything looks wrong for the upcoming deadline for the information that you see in this video, we can confirm the truth and override any errors to ensure that you can keep your guys where you do have those rights. Second, the deadline for the first free agency period, which is what this video will cover, will be set for Saturday at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. So that's right before midnight hits on the West Coast. The reason for that is I'm going to enter and execute all of the offers for free agency Sunday morning, and so I want to be able to do that as soon as I wake up. Third, make sure that you release any cap holds that you might not want before this deadline, and ensure that you factor that in to calculate your true cap space, because remember that the stated cap space here will factor in your cap holds as if you had not released them, so you may have more. And finally, not for this deadline, but for the next one after the second free agency period, make sure that you don't have over 15 players signed, because if you do have over 15 at the end of the offseason, 2K will automatically cut the necessary amount of players to bring you below that cap, and it may pick a guy that you did not want to cut. So, ensure that you are vigilant with what your roster size is set to. So this deadline, just to cover real quick before we go through all the information, is going to be the first 6 days of free agency. So it's 3 offers per day. So that means that you're going to be submitting 18 total offers for free agency. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the draft. So you see Cookie took Kawhi Leonard first overall. Great fit. This was really one of the more fun drafts I've ever been a part of. And I mean, granted, a lot of that is the name recognition of all the players here, but it was very deep. I have a feeling that we have role players that were taken in the second round. I think that there's a good chance that we will have like several All-Stars that come from this, maybe even several All-NBA players. We will see. All right, next let's take a look at picks. Let's start here. Okay, next we're going to take a look at cap holds. So these are what I was talking about, that this may be bringing your total salary cap down, your cap space. So you can release any of the players that you don't want to maintain your bird rights or RFA rights for, and get that cap space back for this upcoming free agency. All right, next, I want you to take a look at the bottom left, so just below the highlighted box here, and take a look at players. That shows your total rostered number of players. So this will be the easiest way to just get a reference point of how many players you currently have signed, so that you can ensure that you don't exceed that 15 amount. You can exceed it during the offseason, but once the offseason is over, as I stated before, it will cut automatically players to bring you to that 15 cap. Okay. Next, we're going to take a look at the salary cap tables for each team. So I believe that this salary cap number here is represented with all of the cap holds factored in. Cristiano Ronaldo, the renamed player by Justin for winning his championship, was drafted by Prez to the Indiana Pacers. We'll see if he's a GOAT in multiple sports. Okay. So now to the main event. Let's take a look at the free agents. So the first thing you'll notice here is that we have a very good free agent class that's coming up. Carmelo Anthony and David West both declined their player options from the former one seed 76ers, and they'll be going into unrestricted free agency. Make sure that you note those that are listed as unrestricted free agents versus restricted free agents, as obviously restricted free agents will have matching rights. Yeah, rounding out the other top two unrestricted free agents are Zach Randolph, who just came off of a strong season after struggling with shooting just a little bit for the New York Knicks, and Tony Parker, who led the Bobcats to, I believe, a second round exit, but they were the one seed for a good chunk of time. So I believe that all of these players will be highly coveted assets. We're going to go ahead and scroll down to when we hit 70 overalls for this. Okay, next we're going to take a look at the youngest players that are available here. And remember that there may be some errors with bird rights or restricted free agency, which I believe is affecting Ricky Rubio here, but not necessarily. So if anybody's interested, especially B Harp, ping me about it and we can take a look. This will also cover many of the rookies that were unsigned from specifically the second round of the draft, or some that whose didn't have their team options picked up and now were released back into the free agency pool. So you never know, a couple of these players may be worth it. We're going to go through 23-year-olds, and then I'm going to scroll all the way over to the right so that we have a representation of their potential as well. But remember to always take the potential letter grade with a grain of salt, because that is variable between different teams depending on what their scout thinks of the player. Okay, next we are going to take a look at each of the positions so that we can see the scarcity of different skill sets here. A lot of angry centers. Power forwards. A lot of good pieces up top, a lot of good depth pieces. It's a fairly deep free agency class. Small forwards. Carmelo Anthony up top. Shooting guards, J.R. Smith and Jason Richardson up top. Quite a few pretty good unrestricted free agents up top for shooting guards. Here's Tony Parker, J.J. Barea, Raymond Sessions. Okay, now we're going to go through the affordable positions for each team. Affordable buy positions. So you can have an idea of the different players that you can most effectively offer to right now. A lot of teams with cap space. Okay. And finally, we're going to go through each team and show the max amount of like actual the max that they can offer players. Starting off with 76ers. Carmelo Anthony was their player, but the most they can offer is a max. I think that's due to bird rights. Looks like Bobcats have 2.1 million. Bulls with 5.2. Celtics with just over 12. Seems that 2.13 is likely the taxpayer mid-level exception. So that means that's about equivalent to 5.5 million or so in a modern scale. Seems that 18.01 million is the max. Okay. And finally, we're just going to show contract extensions. So as a reminder, you were only allowed one contract extension other than rookies during the offseason. These will be open during the entirety of free agency. And keep an eye on how many years they have left on their contract, because this contract extension may not kick in for 1 to 2 more years. Paul Millsap wants to test free agency. JaVale McGee willing to resign. That's big for the Celtics. A lot of the championship Sonics are willing to return. That is big for them. Westbrook willing to extend. So just say it one more time. The one off-season extension does not apply to rookies. You have infinite rookie extensions that you can do. However, they only work in between their third and fourth years on the rookie season, because that's the earliest point that you've established bird rights to actually be able to extend them over the cap. Of course, if you have cap space, you can do it after the fourth season as well, I believe. Two of the Nets willing to extend. That's big for them. Josh Smith willing to extend. Jason Kidd, Boobie Gibson, Marcus Camby. Pretty much all of the Pacers core. Prez will be happy to hear that. A lot of the veterans for the rebuilding Detroit Pistons. Very curious to see what they do with those. Okay, that'll do it. Thanks for tuning in. And just as a reminder, one more time, the deadline will be set to 11:59 p.m. Pacific on Saturday. So we'll have all of tomorrow and all of Saturday to get your free agent offers in, and then I will be entering it on Sunday morning.